Welcome to HB Lifestyle, the podcast. This is your host, the Honey Badger, giving it to you straight in the RV business, filming and recording out of Las Vegas, Nevada at a Hampton Inn. In the background, you got my messy clothes and my messy bed and my white t-shirt that my buddy Fred makes fun of me about. But it's my comfy shirt, man. You know, I'm recording. I didn't bring any other t-shirts. I kind of threw clothes in a suitcase because I'm doing the RV show here that Finley RV puts on every year here in Las Vegas. They're a great dealer, by the way. If you live or shop in the Las Vegas, Henderson, Green Valley area in Nevada, Pahrump, State Line, you know, even if you're closer to the Arizona border, these guys know how to take care of people. They really do. And I just want to give them a big shout out before I get started. Big shout out to Lee and all the sales guys over at Finley RV. They always treat me really well. And every time I've been there to do training, or in this case, being there for the show for the weekend, they've been amazing folks. And big shout out to you guys. I'm doing this episode a little bit. Let me go into some life facts real quick, okay? So I'm going to use me as an example. First, let me give you the background. I did this once on TikTok on a live stream. My TikTok is always a mixed bag of whatever I decide to do. It's kind of like I'll say my venting source of videos. My experimental stuff I do. And I still get good views. I've got now 2.4 million views on TikTok, but I put a bunch of videos, almost post 4 times a week. So I want to go back in time a little bit. Let's go back to 2009. Okay. The Great Recession. I was not in the RV business in 2009. I actually was working for BNSF Railroad in San Bernardino, California. What you don't know is that I was broke. I had very little to my name. It wasn't pretty. Okay. I was sleeping on high school football fields. I was sleeping under bridges. I was sneaking into campgrounds and basically sleeping anywhere and everywhere I could. I didn't have a car, had a mountain of debt, and had a wife, pretty much a pregnant wife, who lost her 14-year-old stepson. Well, my 14-year-old stepson, her 14-year-old son lost him to a brain aneurysm. So when people tell me or accuse me of not understanding what it's like to struggle, I was homeless for 2 years. Okay. Now, the difference between me being a completely homeless person and being homeless is I found places to shower. I found places to find something to eat. I learned a lot about survival when I was in my mid to late 20s. My first 6 months in the RV business, I slept in the back of a Crown Victoria car at a Walmart parking lot behind the dealership. Yeah, it wasn't very pretty. It wasn't fun. But I had to take most of my money, anything I could earn, anything I could put in my pocket, went towards my kids and my wife. I had responsibilities, and I was last on the list. And I'm 5'9", and at the time I think I maybe weighed 145 pounds. So I know what it's like to struggle, guys. I know what it's like to have that fear of not knowing where your next meal is going to come from. I believe, for the most part, a lot of you that listen to this podcast and watch my YouTube channel, there's a lot of fear going on right now. So at the Portland RV show, I was there November 10th through the 13th. By the way, love you guys, but that was a bad week. The elections weren't settled, and of course you could tell it was still in people's minds that were even there. Okay. But there was other things on people's minds that had nothing to do with politics. And a lot of it was people were coming to the RV show not necessarily to buy, but to escape from what they knew was coming. And I talked to it. I about cried, and I'm not a crier. I really am not. I cry during 4 movies, and I cry at funerals, and I cry at weddings, because weddings to me are just is your first funeral as a man anyway. Ha ha ha. But I'm not a guy that gets very emotionally sad over things. But listening to this family, young family, probably in their late 20s, early 30s, 3 kids, and when it came down to it, they finally told me, after being shown around by a salesperson, that for them to be able to afford food on the table right now, they had to sell her husband's truck. So they don't even have a tow vehicle right now. They had to sell his truck to take the equity that he had in the truck to pay their mortgage payment and to get rid of the payments, so they had enough money to get food. So this inflation thing is real. And yes, it's the biggest buyer's market, bar none. I've said that a million times on this podcast. I've said it a million times on my YouTube channels. But it's a buyer's market for people that are in a good position. And you're going to find that there's 3 types of people out there right now. There are the people that have so much money coming in from so many sources, it isn't going to bother them. Now, they're not necessarily gazillionaire rich, but I'll give you an example. Myself, I'm trying to work on 5 or 6 flows of income, so when one faucet gets turned down, the other faucets still keep bringing cash in. So, it's something we should all strive for, is multiple flows of income. But for the most part, a lot of people are happy with just what their job provides them. So the first person is the guy with multiple flows of income. He don't care. He's spending it. And usually right now, because they know they're getting huge discounts and they can buy fifth wheels and motorhomes for pennies on the dollar right now, they're buying the big iron stuff. I watched a deal go down at the Portland RV show, not at the dealer I was working with, but I watched one go down from afar on a guy that practically bought the fifth wheel for about 10 grand under what the dealer paid for it. Now, of course, there's probably backhand deals and back alley deals with the factory to at least get them to break even, okay? But for the most part, this guy bought a $150,000 fifth wheel for probably 10, 11% below invoice. So it just gives you an idea that it's there. The second type of person is the majority of you. The majority of you are scared half to death because we know as a world, not just the United States, not just Canada, but the world is going to have to pay the piper for the lockdowns. It's going to happen. And we are still a society that doesn't want to go back to work. And no amount of politicians or propaganda can change your mind. And so you're putting your life on hold for 2023. Now, I am not one of those people. I'm not going to put my life on hold for 2023. But these are folks that have stable incomes, stable jobs, government jobs, but their 401k's been beat up, your 401k's been crushed, and all you see is high gas prices, high food prices, and you haven't done the math yet. And what's going to happen to you folks that are in this majority is right around March or April, you're going to get stir crazy and you're going to realize the math. And you're going to go, holy crap, it's only costing me an extra $200 a trip for us to go camping. $200 is worth getting our butts out of bed and getting away from it all. That's about what it's running you if you're a travel trailer buyer, you're paying about $50 more per month. Some of your cases, it's $80 per month more. And you're spending between $100 and $150 more per trip in food and gasoline than you were or would have last year. So you guys just haven't done the math yet. Then there's the second group, or the third group. And the third group is the folks that this industry kind of needs right now, which is that first-time buyer. And I'm not talking about the first time they bought an RV. I'm talking about the first time they've really made a major purchase beyond a car. They haven't quite bought a home yet, but they have decent credit. They have a little bit of disposable income, but you don't know where your job sits yet. There's been a lot of layoffs at Twitter. There's been a ton of layoffs in the tech sector of our economies. This is, China's currency is falling apart. There's a lot of things that are affecting this third group, and this third group is what the RV business needs, because you're the ones that buy the mass-produced everyday camper that is built. And right now you folks are scared out of your mind because you don't know if you'll even have a job tomorrow. And I know that feeling very well. I have that ever since I got into the RV business, whether I was a salesperson, a finance manager, a technician. Every day I would wake up, go to work, and wonder if I have a job still, even in good times. In fact, if I'm being honest with you right now, even as a rep, all the years I've worked to become a Coachman travel trailer rep, I wake up every single morning wondering if I'm gonna be able to log into my computer. My company laptop. I'm always like, okay, let's see if I still have a job. That's every day. And then I put demonstrative hours into it and do everything that is beyond necessary. But that's what drives me. But I know the feeling. So if you don't know, it may drive me. It might. I'm weird. I'm very highly narcissistic. I've become more tactful over the years, but the narcissism that is inside of me is enormous. And that push every single day I get from not knowing if I have a job or not the next morning just pushes me even further to succeed. But for a lot of us, it's very stressful. It makes you sweat. It gives you nightmares. It gives you that worried feeling where you start diving into things that are unhealthy, like stress, alcohol. So if you're still listening to this, you know that I'm on your side with this, but where it's going and where it's going to end up is this. If we as a world do not come together and decide that we are going to band together and continue to stabilize the economy, you're going to watch the world start to crumble back to where we were in 2008, 9, and 10. Okay? If you're a Generation Z person, you don't know what this is like. You have no clue. Guys, when I got into this business 12 years ago, next year will be year 13 for me. Interest rates for a RV, we were quoting 10 years and 16.95% interest. So when a dealer is quoting you 899, 999, that is low compared to when I first got in this business. But Gen Z has been spoiled. If you're Gen Z and you're listening to this, you're a spoiled brat. And there's nothing wrong with it, because you don't know any better because you haven't seen this yet. You may have been a young child when this was occurring, or you might have been in 13, 14 years old when this all went down. You might have been a young teenager, you might have been in your mid-teens, you might have been 7, 8 years old. You're not used to this. You don't know what it was like to watch the housing market crash. You don't know what it's like when people used to come into an RV dealership and we used to throw credit. I'm going to tell you what we did. Banks were not lending except for the high interest, low term banks. Okay. So when a guy walked in and he was an 800 score, and 3 years prior, he could get 5.99 on a 15-year fixed term and rate. And then now all of a sudden he's ready to buy and he's got to pay 16.95 and he's got to pay a 7 to 10 year term. You can imagine that went over like a fart in church. And then you had to ask this guy, hey man, we got to find out if your 800 score even qualifies for a loan right now. Here's a credit app. We're going to submit it to 3 banks. We're going to do what they call a pre-check. And then we'll go find out what you're going to qualify for, and I'll show it to you on the lot. That's how we sold in 2010. Because it wasn't worth going through the process of landing you on a coach, writing you up, and disappointing you. Instead, we got you pre-qualified and showed you what you can buy. Now, for a lot of you that are, excuse my language, but left-wing liberals, you would get offended by that. But back in 2010, everybody was a conservative. Even if you were liberal, even if you were progressive, you were conservative. Because you had no choice but to be. So you would understand when, if you wanted to get a house, or you wanted to get a boat, or you want to get an RV, you had to go get qualified first. They had to run your credit and tell you what you can shop for. Because banks weren't lending. And that continued through 2011. All right. Now, here's what we're going through now. Okay. We're not going through that yet. And I don't think we'll ever get to there. But I do think we're going to go into a place where you're going to see prime interest rates at 12 and 13%. It's going to happen, guys. And if you think that you stopping the buying process of homes or boats or RVs or even cars and trucks is going to somehow cut prices in half, you're wrong. These YouTubers that I talk about a lot are giving false information like that. There's 5 channels that I have watched over the last 3 months that have gotten progressively worse. And they've gotten progressively worse because, let's face it, they're trying to make money. They're trying to make a living. 4 out of the 5 of them live in their coach full time. And in one of the videos, the wife finally admitted that her husband got fired from his job because he doesn't want to go into the office anymore. He'll only work remote. So now they got to figure out a way to make more money. How do you make more money? You get more clicks, you get more views. Who cares if the information is correct? And she came on and said, if everyone stops buying RVs, dealers will get desperate and they will start selling product to you at 75% off MSRP. How many of you would like 75% off sticker? That's how she started her video. Now, if you go watch the millions of videos on YouTube and you hear that as an intro, there you go. And then she goes right into a product she's selling on YouTube. Do not stop ghost. Do not collect $200. She's right into her new thing she's selling. Oh my God, it's the greatest thing ever. Oh my God. Click on the link below so I can make money. Who cares if the information I'm giving you is retarded and bad? Oh God, people like that just frustrate me. And the truth is, guys, that ain't ever gonna happen. That's the truth. It has progressively gotten more expensive all the way around to build an RV, and the prices aren't going down anytime soon. Not like that. Now, the company I work for, the Coachman Travel Trailer I represent on the West Coast, dropped their prices $1,500 for new models coming out. And then we gave, dealers that ordered, we gave them a little rebate money for the inventory they have in stock that doesn't have that discount. So that's why you've seen the prices on my trailers come down. Of course, there are some dealers that can't order. They're overstuffed with inventory, so we're doing the best we can to help them out. But if I could get my general manager on here, he could give you the more detailed information about why you can't just simply cut everything in half. Okay? And I'm going to give you the basics. Let me give you the absolute basics of why RVs are